Everybody, welcome to the YouTube. Once again, the Indianapolis Regional Championships have finished up officially. It was one of the largest championships in history with the 1017 Masters. Unfortunately, not the largest. We were short by about 50 people, but that still doesn't mean it was any less of a feat for every single player who performed this weekend. Day 2 to earn points, whatever. You did what you got to do and you earned that spot. Out of 1,000 players, that's incredible. Now, we are going to take a look at the top 8 decks from this weekend and the top 8 players. Obviously, I would like to take a look at more of the other 2 events as well, Joinville as well as Bilbao, but those are not really updated yet. So we're going to look at Indianapolis first today, and maybe we'll take a look at the rest of the decks heading into New Jersey and everything else, because we have 2 weeks to kind of cover everything until the next event comes around. So without further ado, well, actually first, if you guys are enjoying this content and you've made it this far, please like and subscribe. I have a really cool sponsor announcement I want to make next week and a really cool giveaway I'm going to do next week as well. So please, please, please be sure you're subscribed for that. And yeah, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. The Indianapolis Regionals finished up, and I believe that every deck in the top 32 was either an RCS variant or a Mew deck. There was one deck, I believe, that was not, and it was Riley Holbert playing Whimsicott, I believe. So we don't have all of that information right here on Limitless TCG, but we're going to look at the top 8 of this regional championship. We had very, very prolific names. Ian Robb, the meme god himself on Twitter, came in, swept the finals, 2-1 the finals. Isaiah Bradner, part of my testing group, part of the B-Boys. He's been absolutely dominating this season. It's still safe to say that it's his rookie master season, and he has been performing out of his mind at the last 3 events. 1 game off of top 8 in Salt Lake, top 8 in EUIC, and making it all the way to 2nd place here at Indianapolis. Andrew Estrada, 2014 world champion. I'm sure he has other accomplishments, I just can't think of them off the top of my head. Andrew Weiss, I know he is a Chicago player, and it was his first day 2, I believe, from what his friends told me. So absolutely huge congratulations for Andrew for making it this far and earning yourself a medal. Congrats, man. Michael Long, a player that everyone knows, or hates, I don't know, but no mean comments, please, in the comments about him. Michael did earn a top 8 spot here, playing Mew VMAX, and Mew and Andrew, I think Andrew and Michael played the same 60, so I can talk about that too as we go. Pablo Meza also having an incredible season with 3 top 8s at least already, with the RC Centellion deck coming out in his own Tablemon. Check him out on all his socials as well. Francis McDonald playing the RCS Dark Inteleon, also making this far, as well as Joseph Perez to the top 8. So a lot of really good players here, and so let's start looking at the decks from 8th place all the way up to 1st. Now we see Joseph Perez Mew list. What is special about this list? What is different? We see the Echoing Horn keeping its spot in the deck with the two choice belts and everything else. Everything looks very consistent across the board. I see a ton of 4-ofs. Nothing much to write home about. There is the 1 Psychic and the 1 Training Court, which does feel like a natural inclusion now that Whimsicott has done well. And now that Beedrill has also done really, really well, I think you kind of have to play the 1 Psychic, maybe even 2, because if not, you're going to be taking a terrible Beedrill matchup. So both of these cards become somewhat of natural inclusions into the deck. And a huge shout out to Joseph for making it to top 8 with this Mew VMAX list. Then we have Francis McDonald playing Arceus Dark Inteleon. Maybe opening as an image is probably better here. We see that he is playing the Hoopa V as well as the Zapdos V to kind of have an answer into both of those matchups. Hoopa V is very good into the Urshifu matchup. Urshifu players can't really do much against it, can't really play around it, but it's kind of useless in every other matchup. Yes, I guess against Mew you can power it up, but I think it's very easy to just like get blown up on if you try to build that guy up on the bench. It's just weaker than an RCS. You're putting damage onto your own board. It's okay at best. There's the Mysterious Tail Mew in this list as well, a very cool inclusion to make it a 5th or like a 6th pretty good starter because there is no 3 Arceus. I think maybe a 3rd Arceus would just be better, but maybe that dig is a little bit more than I gave it credit for. We see the 1 Capture, the 1 Water, the 1 Fighting, basically everything you would want as your combo pieces here, kind of giving it a hodgepodge of maybe I'm a little bit more inconsistent than other lists, but I have everything I want in the deck all at one time. The Energy Switch as well, making its way into these lists. Might become a mainstay after Ian's win. We'll talk about that in a second as well, but a very cool combo card. Then we have Pablo Meza's top 8 list as well, playing Arceus Inteleon. This is just a very cookie cutter, as standard, as safe as you can get it, playing all of the pieces that, the Dunsparce, the Manaphy making their way into the deck, just making it so you can't you don't struggle as much against Urshifu. You have the full grip of 4-4-1-1 line of Inteleon, giving you a pretty consistent engine, and having all the supporters you could possibly want, with the Melanie and the Raihan giving you two potential options, the Avery to kind of give you a better Malamar matchup, and then all these ball search cards, just making it one of the most consistent decks. Even though it's not like fun or anything, it's just a very consistent deck that'll get the job done. Congrats to Pablo for making it that far as well. We see the 3rd and 5th place list. So I guess we'll go over this one together. Andrew Estrada and Michael Long both played this list. It's a little bit unique. I did play against it in Swiss. It's a very cool list. They ended up playing the 4-2 Mew VMAX with 4 Genesects. And then you had only the 2 bosses orders because they played 3 copies of Pokemon Catcher, giving themselves a chance to kind of high roll through some matchups. With only 1 copy of Rotom Phone, that's where they made the cuts, they were able to include another copy of Fog Crystal, as well as play the Echoing Horn and the Choice Belt and the Marnie. With 2 copies of Training Court, they had the 2 Psychic and the basic 1 Turbo Energy. So the 2 Psychic Energies really put their list a little bit above the cut of the rest because they were able to deal with the Beedrill decks a little bit better, deal with the Whimsicott decks a little bit better. Yes, they might be a little bit slower, but those decks aren't putting too much pressure on you super early. So with all these pieces, they were able to kind of flip those coins and get their way into that top 8 and that top 4 respectively. So congratulations to both Michael and Andrew for their finishes. And now we're looking at Andrew Weiss's top 4 list. Another RCS deck here. Very cookie cutter one once again all the way through the grip here. We see the Hoopa V making its way once again into the deck. Hoopa, Manaphy, Dunsparce, the Triumvirate that kind of deals with the Urshifu decks. I was talking to the group over the 2 weeks, and I said, I think this is going to happen. I think this is almost certainly going to be a possibility that people will play this combination of cards, and it's very hard for Urshifu to deal with it. And lo and behold, we saw very little Urshifu perform in the past weekend. Now, was it an overreaction? Maybe. Will the metagame stabilize afterwards? Maybe. Who knows? But now people are aware that Hoopa V is a very good counter into that card, and people will be playing it in their Arc Darks. If they didn't do well with it or didn't do anything for them this weekend, maybe it gets cut. But yeah. Everything about the list is very standard across the board. It's got the Clara to get the Moltres is back. The Energy Retrieval. No Energy Switch, however, so you don't get to make that crazy play where you can drop down the Moltres and Energy Switch and Energy onto the Arceus, as well as attach a DTE to kind of attack out of nowhere, more or less. So that play is not available to you, but everything else is there on the table. We already talked about Andrew Estrada's list, so congratulations to Andrew Weiss, by the way, as well, and Andrew for making it top 4. And now we go to the second place list of Isaiah Bradner, my teammate, the player that I work with very closely. The list is very consistent. We've got the 4-3 Arceus giving us the makings of the entire Arceus line. Isaiah chose not to play the quick shooting Inteleon, but was playing the Dunsparce and the Manaphy package to kind of have a chance into Urshifu, because the Urshifu matchup is very hard. They can get rid of their energies before you can Persistent Sting, before you can really put that pressure on. And with the combination of Cheryl and all the switching cards that they play, they can just play into the 150, 150, 150 into your Arceus, and they will out-trade you at the end of the day. With the healing, with the being able to ping your Dunsparce on the bench, being able to try to potentially Yoga Loop it. If they play the baby Hoopa, they can boss up your Dunsparce, and even if you get the Ordinary Rod play off with the Dunsparce, it's not sticking around that much longer. It's very easy to take out a second Dunsparce, and you force to Big Charm it and all that stuff. So Isaiah gave himself a better shot into Urshifu and played a nice group of supporters. It's very similar to Kato Arai's 9th place list, but we played 2 Marnie instead of 2 Research, giving us a better chance to just disrupt our opponent's hands as we play through the game, because we're trying to muster it a lot of the time. So having that 1 Research is good just to pitch a lot of the dead cards, but otherwise everything else makes a lot of sense. Now, we stuck with the 2 Training Court to kind of give ourselves a chance to just guarantee that combo off the Beedrill, play around Path. We didn't expect too much Path this weekend, but Path could still be a really big issue. So rather than cutting a court or only playing 1 court, this felt like the natural inclusion. Obviously, I think you could make a case for a 3rd level, a 3rd Incense, something like that, just to give ourselves more consistency. But this list felt very, very good. I played the No Manaphy and Quick Shooting myself. So I will have Isaiah on the channel as well this week to kind of get an interview in, so you guys can hear directly from Isaiah. Congrats to Isaiah on his first second place finish in the Masters Division. And then finally, to round out our top 8 decks of Indianapolis Regionals, we have the winner himself, Ian Robb's 60-card deck, playing this whole huge package of Dark Arc with the Hoopa, with the Zapdos, opting not to play the Dunsparce, saying that I don't need the Dunsparce to make the magic work. I just need the Manaphy so I don't get rapid flowed. Playing the Medicham with the Yoga Loop, basically rounding out the whole combo. Ian would go ahead and Yoga Loop down the Dunsparce, and then he would smash uppercut another Arceus with the ping, or just, do a ton of work with that. Like the Metacham was an attacker for Ian, and I'm sure he will talk about it more. But Ian's list was pretty close to ideal. I think like it's really really close. I mean, I think it's really cool. I can't find a flaw in it. The 2 energy switch paired with the Galarian Moltres V as well as the Malevolent Charge basically gave him the moment energies were onto his board, he could kind of do whatever he wanted. Like he could take any route he wanted. Both the Moltres were routes, both the RCSs were routes. Hoopo, Zapdos, Metacham. Now you do notice that there's a distinct lack of Sharon's care, so Ian did feel unfavored into the RCS mirror match, but it looks like it didn't come up enough to actually matter. Like I think a straight RCS Inteleon would beat this list in particular, but I think because all the RCS decks were kind of trying to tech for the Urshifu, tech for the Mew, tech for everything, all these cards kind of got cut out, and lo and behold, Ian was able to kind of walk in and stomp through the competition. So congratulations to Ian Robb on his 4th regional championship win in the Masters division. For those of you who didn't know as well, Ian Robb is the 2012 Juniors TCG World Champion. So he is a very, very prolific player, a very, very good player. So check everyone out in this top 8 on their respective socials and all that stuff. And that'll be all from me to you guys. I will see you guys next time with some more top 8 decks.